It's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me
tuned to Unity 93.3 FM. Today is Tuesday, the 19th of September 2023, and it's lovely to be in the studio this morning. Of course, we are reaching you live from the city of Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria, the home of peace and tourism. Yes, our listener and of course our viewer, is good to have you already in the studio this morning. I have guests, but before I introduce my guests in the studio, don't forget, my name is Beatrice Adamu Iji. You can call me Kubi. I'll still be fine. And don't forget again that Plateau is that one place that we have, and so we must do our best to make sure we make it work. Thank you very much for being there. I have in the studio Mr. Shaibu Duru, an in-house analyst and again political scientist. He is in the studio. Good morning. We missed you yesterday.
Yeah, well, it was inevitable, really. Those things happen once in a while, but you handled it excellently. I can always trust you to do a good job, with or without me. And Prof was here. He handled it excellently in his characteristic, brilliant manner. So we do appreciate him for always, being there to, extend support and things like that. And viewer and listener, thank you for staying tuned. It's a pleasure being here once again. I will look forward to an interesting interaction.
Yes, thank you. And again in the studio this morning, I am so honored to have somebody seated. He has a lot on one of our segments later on as we proceed on this edition of Unity Train. He is he's a political and social activist. I'm talking about Mr. Abu Malik. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much. You will get to hear much more from him later on. But before then, let's begin to see what we have on our national dailies. And so this one has to do with issues trending on our national dailies. Just sit back and enjoy it. So while I turn to Doro.
Yes.
Doro, why don't we begin this way?
Okay.
Before this very administration led by Ahmed Bola Tinubu, we've had issues then administration led by Muhammadu Buhari.
Oh, yes.
There were issues of him, having to favor one side of, Nigerians than others.
Yes.
And then this issue is coming back again. This time. And so this one is from Daily Trust. It says, appointments, you are favoring Yoruba Christians. Mori tells Tinubu.
Wow.
This issue is coming back again.
It's coming back again. It's resurging, and I think it's something that actually needs to be looked at. MURIC is Muslims' Right. It's an acronym for Muslims' Rights Concern. An NGO, that aims to protect, the rights of Muslims around the country and all of that. So the group is actually saying that President Tinubu seemingly, is actually favoring Yoruba and Christians, and that should actually not be, given the multicultural nature, of the country and the need to manage, religious and ethnic cleavages, and all of that. And so he must be careful not to give the impression that a certain ethnic or religious group is actually being favored, at the expense of another, and all of that. Like you did rightly say in your preamble, the issue is resurging. We contended with the same thing, when President Buhari held sway, for 8 years. There were allegations. Do we even say allegations? Because I think it was actually true that some of his key appointments actually, were pro-northern or pro-north. In other words, some of the key appointments that he made seemed actually to favor the northern part, as at the expense of, other geographical regions in the country, and all of that. If you look at, his appointments, as it concerned the country's security formations, I think you would have reason to believe that it was not just an allegation, it wasn't just a suspicion, it was actually a reality, because that was actually what we saw. Virtually all the, the heads of the country's security establishments were actually Muslims and from northern Nigeria and all of that. It was something that we found quite lamentable. On this platform and elsewhere, we did say that in a multicultural society where there's a need to manage interests, and sentiments and all of that, care has to be taken not to, act in a way as to give the impression that, one side, or one part of the country, is actually being treated preferentially and all of that. And so the issue seems to be resurging, as far as the headline is concerned. Yes. What Murik is actually saying specifically is that Tinubu's appointment so far, right? He's not done with appointments, but looking at the appointments he's made so far, one has reason to be skeptical. One has reason to begin to doubt or to wonder if really, other people in other parts of the country are really going to get a fair deal, and a fair treatment and all of that. And I think, that concern might just be genuine, to some extent, right? Of course, at the moment, I do know that the key positions in the country, whether ministerial or otherwise, are being occupied by Yoruba people, and Christians mostly, right? Is it Wale Edun, who is the country's Minister of Finance? Is it Femi Gbajabiamila? Of course, Femi Gbajabiamila is a Muslim, but he's also Yoruba, who is actually the country's, the president's chief of staff.
Is from Yoruba.
Yeah, beautiful. And then, of course, you've got even the recently appointed CBN boss, Michael Cardoso, who is also Yoruba, right? And then, of course, you've got the likes of, Dele Alake, right? I think he is former commissioner to, Tinubu, when he held sway as governor of Lagos State, and all of that. The current, the recently appointed, a chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zak Adedeji, is also, Yoruba, and all of that. These are the issues. Now, for me, Colby, the issue of religion is something that, I really don't want to be too emphatic on, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think what we want to do is to entrench a culture of meritocracy and all of that, where people are given opportunities on the basis of, their fitness for purpose, ability to deliver, and all of that. Such primordial considerations should actually not matter. So I don't have any issue with the fact that they are Christians. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I think the Muslims in Nigeria have already enjoying a fair share, of the power configuration, given the fact that the president is a Muslim, the vice president is a Muslim, and all of that. So it's not bad if
do you think Mr. President is being deliberate in trying to just also to get rid of the feelings and perceptions people have?
You get it. That's exactly where I'm driving.
Probably is for that.
Yeah, that is the impression I have. That's why I said I don't have a problem with the fact that they are Christians. Because I mean, like I did say, the Muslims in Nigeria are already enjoying a fair share of the power configuration at the top. The president is a Muslim, the vice president is a Muslim, and you and I know, there was this palpable fear among, Nigerian Christians in the build-up to the election, about the ticket, right? The composition of the ticket and things like that. And then, despite the protests and resistance, and lamentations and all of that, the Muslim ticket still, it still went through and all of that. And here we are, with a Muslim president and a Muslim vice president. I feel that something has to be done deliberately, to placate, the Christian population, to calm frayed nerves, to neutralize the anti-Muslim ticket, that actually characterize the, the power configuration at the top, and things like that. So I feel probably President Tinubu is just being deliberate, just so that the Christians don't get the impression that the Muslims are having it all, and all of that. So for me, the issue of religion, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. What I seem to have a little concern with will be the fact that, the appointments seem to be Yoruba-centric. You understand? And it's something I feel that the president should do something about. If you look at all the names we've mentioned, you know, I think 90% of them are actually Yoruba, and I feel that it shouldn't be. You know, if you are scouting for talent and all of that, I think in every part of the country there are people who can actually deliver the goods, right? And sometimes I keep asking Kobe, why is it so difficult for someone from the North Central, for example, to be, you know, governor of the central bank? As far as, you know, my little knowledge of Nigeria's history is concerned, that has never been done. And what's the problem? Are you saying that there are no brains, there are no, you know, people in the North Central, for example, you know, Christians in the North Central part of Nigeria who can be CBN governor and all of that? Because as far as I know, the governorship of the CBN seems to have been the exclusive reserve of the big three. You are either Yoruba or Igbo, you know, or Hausa or Hausa Fulani, right? You know, of course, former CBN governor Charles Oludo, Igbo, right?
Yes.
And then his successor, Sanusi Lamido, Hausa Fulani, and then his successor too, you know, Godwin Emefiele, also Igbo. What's the problem? You know, that's why sometimes you see northern Christians, you know, lamenting or alleging.
Maybe what's the reason, not what's the problem?
Yeah, what's the reason? Well, we can talk about the reason because there's a problem somewhere. You know, this is the issue.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm saying that when it comes to some of these big appointments, we would like to see the minority, you know, groups in the country being given some sense of belonging. That's how you manage conflicts. That's how you manage negative sentiments and probably avoid, you know, subversive tendencies and things like that. If other parts of the country, if people from other parts of the country keep feeling that they cannot dare to dream, you know, they can never have the opportunity to occupy important positions, you know, when it comes to appointment and all of that, it actually creates or triggers, you know, subversive tendencies, you know, and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, for me, the fact that, you know, some of these appointees are Christians, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's okay.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's okay. Look at what, you know, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu did. She's a Christian with a Muslim husband. She came to Plateau State, and look at, you know, even the whole narrative. You know, there are other parts of the country that are, you know, that are worse off as far as, you know, insecurity and all of that is concerned. I mean, look at, you know, state in the northeast, you know, that have actually been bedeviled by insurgent tendencies over a period of 10 years and all of that. Look at the magnitude of humanitarian crisis occasioned by some of these things.
States.
But the first lady didn't deem it actually fit. Let's say necessary for
to
now
begin her tour.
to start from there. She decided to start with Plateau State, maybe, like we said, to give the impression that, look, we are not anti-Christian.
And
right?
then we're not anti-party.
We're also not. Yeah, and all of that.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
they are of the APC.
The APC, but the Plateau is PDP controlled
exactly.
at the moment. You know, but she still decided to come here and start with Plateau State and all of that, so that people don't get the impression that, look, it's a whole Muslim affair. I feel I'm fine with that. But if it is alleged that the appointments are Yoruba-centric, I think that might just be something that the president will need to look at.
Yes, I love it when you say that might just be something that the president would need to look at. You know, some of these groups actually, they are there to check just to make sure that they spark discussion around what they feel somehow, if not, you know, talked about, it could get to something else. So I don't see it as something bad to raise concern.
It's not. I mean, if you look at even the chairman of the director of Muryar is Professor Ishaq Oloyede. He is Yoruba. He is a Muslim, and so ordinarily he should be happy that his fellow tribesmen are actually being favored. But he has come out to say, look, it's not fine. She should be revisited and things like that. And I think that, you know, shows some level of sensitivity, you know, impartiality and you know, patriotism on the part of.
We want a situation where, okay, if the Muslims seem to be favored, groups like this also should come out and say
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
Yeah, this is
consider other.
Muryar actually challenged, you know, the seemingly Muslim-dominated appointment, you know, by, you know, then President Muhammad Buhari. Yeah, these are the sort of things we want to see.
Okay, maybe we just go to the next one. This one is the Nation. It says police has set up special teams to probe Mohbad's death. That entertainer, musician, who we lost recently. Now,
That's very tragic, could be. It's very tragic. I think, the last time we lost, somebody in this manner, an artist in this manner, was when we lost Da Green, years ago. Yes. I can't remember how many years it's been, but I think it's been 4 or 5 years down the line, and all of that. And Mohbad, is it Ali Femiwa, or what's his name? I can't remember. It's a long Yoruba name, which I can't recall.
Yes, Yoruba.
Some of these Nigerian names are like, they can be quite complicated.
Unlike for us on the plateau, you just have do.
You're done. Monosyllabic.
Yeah,
like
you just say
Beatrice bisyllabic, right?
Yes,
Tribal is a bit longer than that, and all of that. But I think that down here, up north here, I think our names are a bit simpler. And the Yoruba people, very, very cultural minded people, and all of that. They always want to maintain their names and all of that, regardless of religious affiliations. And I think I love that about the Yoruba people. But coming back to the issue of Mohbad's death, I think it's a tragic one, isn't it? He was 27 years old, and then all of a sudden he's no more, and his death, his sudden death, seems to have actually thrown up lots of speculative theories as to the possible cause of his death and all of that. There are people who feel that in fact, the mood of the country at the moment is that of suspicion. A lot of people feel there's more than what meets the eye as far as the death of Mohbad is concerned. He was actually a signee of Naira Marley record. Naira Marley, is his former boss, and Naira Marley is also a very prominent, artist who rose to fame, just a few years ago, and all of that. And a lot of people feel that, Mohbad's death might have something to do with even, the strange nature of his relationship, with his boss, Naira Marley, because there are, theories flying around that, and of course, if you listen to even some of the songs that, if you pay attention to some of the lyrics of Mohbad's songs, which he sang before he died, you kind of feel that he probably had hunches, he probably had premonitions about his, possible death and things like that. In other words, it was like he knew that something was not well, and that sooner than later, he was going to be hounded and all of that. This is the issue. It was like he was sort of giving us a, parting word. He was sort of trying desperately, through those lyrics to draw attention to his silent struggles, what he was going through, and what was about to be. People became much more aware of the deeper meanings of such words after, his death, and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's heartwarming. The police are saying, they're going to investigate the issue because it needs to be investigated. Just this morning, I looked up a headline that says, a youth in Lagos and other parts of the country are planning a protest, to register dissatisfaction, over, Mohbad's death. Because whichever way you look at it could be, there seems to be something fishy about it. There seems to be something sinister about the manner in which he died, and all of that. I saw a video where Mohbad was actually confessing that he was taken to, a certain place where he was given some white substance that he took, which of course was not given to his other colleagues, with whom he was together, and all of that. And so, there seems to be the suspicion that, his death was sort of not, orchestrated, and all of that. And so I think we need to look at, there's been this suspicion that the music industry in Nigeria has been reduced to, a cesspool for, thuggery, gang rivalry, dirty game, dirty politics and all of these things. When incidences like this happen, you are compelled to begin to believe that, perhaps there's a need to reinvent or restore the music culture in Nigeria. When you listen to songs like that of Mariah Jos, where he talks about, for example, Teacher Obankaratu, where he pays tributes to the teacher, songs like Kasalele, The Sluggard, where he, draws attention to the need for hard work, right? And things like that. When you listen to the likes of Felix Liberty, Ifeoma, I want to marry you, give me your love, and things like that. The likes of Bob Marley and the Wailers. All of these things could be that was when music was music. But today it's like music has been reduced to an instrument for promoting nudity, pornography, thuggery, and all of these things. I think we need to probably reinvent the music culture in Nigeria.
Mr. Doro, why don't we just let's begin to find a way to conclude with this. And this one is from Vanguard. It says Nigeria in revenue crisis with huge public debt. New FIR S boss Ade DJ.
Yeah, Dr. Zach Adedeji. Yeah, I think he's raising, a red flag, isn't it? He's trying to draw attention to the country's, financial position at the moment. I think this is something we have talked about again and again and again, but it's not bad to still, bring it up, because it's something that needs to be looked at. At the moment, I think, the country is not broke, but the country is constrained financially. And I've always said this could be anytime, Nigeria is in, sort of a financial distress, it is the masses that actually bear the brunt. Because at the end of the day, government will be compelled to explore, alternative sources of revenue and things. At the end of the day, it is the masses that are always at the receiving end. So if government looks around and sees that its coffers, are drying up, it begins to say, okay, let's remove subsidy, let's increase VAT,
so that we'll be
be able to augment income and things like that. And it shouldn't be that way. At the end of the day, I think that maybe because maybe because of the effects of capitalism, I think the welfareist a component of the modern state is gradually disappearing. Ordinarily, government should be responsible for most of the things that citizens actually need for survival and things like that. But at the moment, you're having to pay for virtually everything that you need, and it shouldn't be. So what is the government doing? Now, Adedeji is actually saying that Nigeria is hugely indebted. And if something is not done, we just might, slide into another recession if something is not done to reverse, this situation. Because at the moment, according to reports by the DMO, the Debt Management Office, at the moment the country's external debt is about 90 trillion. Who is going to pay that? Could be you and I are going to pay, because I think if you're going to, actually share this, break it down, if you're going to, share this, this number, among the 200, million citizens that we have, if you're going to multiply it by that number, that means that every Nigerian might have to be paying about 200,000 naira and things like that to be able to offset this debt. Who is going to pay that? This is the issue. And then not just that, certain reports have it that at the moment, Nigeria's borrowing space is already hitting 37.9. And like I did say here the other time, the World Bank's and IMF's, benchmark or borrowing limit is 40%, meaning that you can't borrow more than 40% of whatever, you're able to generate, at the end of every fiscal year and things like that. This is the issue. And so with the country, and then not just that, the country's debt-to-revenue ratio. Debt-to-revenue ratio is an economic instrument that, is used to determine how much a country actually pays as how much a country actually generates and how much it has to part with, how much it actually uses to service or repay loans and things like that. At the moment, our debt to revenue ratio is about 90%. What that means is that if you're earning 10 naira as an individual, for example, 9 out of that 10 naira is going into debt repayment and things like that. This is the issue. And so it is a very unhealthy economic situation. And so I think something needs to be done. Maybe government needs to look at issues that have to do with addressing systemic corruption, right? Blocking leakages, diversifying sources of income, attracting foreign investment, restoring the value of the naira and all of these issues. We could say a little more, but of course, I can see you're signaling me and I know what that means.
Yes, Doro, you always know what that means.
Yeah, I always do. Yeah, I do understand your body language. We've been here quite a while, so I think I understand that.
Thank you very much, our listener and our viewer. At this point, we have come to the end of this very segment. I beg that you stay tuned. We'll be coming back just after this short time out.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Are you bored and need some company? Get a TV experience like no other on Unity TV. We are turning up the hits with captivating TV shows, electrifying political programs, music, movies, and lots more that will leave you craving I'm sure you want to know more. Tune in to Unity TV today and let the excitement take over.
The question is, what is the English name of Gary?
Mad.
Gary? Does Gary have English name at all?
Hello viewer, welcome to Voices from the Streets on Unity TV Jos. My name is Himma Dai Mata, aka Lee to the V to the ING, aka Boom Stone Boy, and today I am at Faringada Market, your number one store for food items on the plateau. Today I'll be asking a very simple question like always. I'll be asking the question, what is the English name of Gary? Do you know? Well, I'll be surprised if anybody gets it anyway, but let's get to listen from the Voices from the Streets. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, please, what's your name?
My name is Deborah Inana.
Okay, Debbie, the question is, what is the English name of Gary?
Cassava flakes.
Are you sure that's the English name of Gary?
Oh no, but I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Please, what's your name?
My name is Paul.
Okay, Paul, what's the English name of Gary?
Some people call it cassava flakes now.
Then some people call it
Nigerians, we call it Gary. Gary na Gary.
Are you sure that's the English name?
I said cassava flakes.
Are you sure that's the English name? That's what I asked.
I'm not sure.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, please, what's your name?
I'm Oluwaseun.
Okay, Sheun.
Yeah.
Please, what is the English name of Gary?
Gary? Does Gary have English name at all?
He does actually.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was saying things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Oh, thank you so much for still being there with us on Unity 93.3 FM. This is the segment with which we bring up a topic and then we discuss in depth. And so in the studio this morning, it has been Mr. Shabuduro, in-house analyst, and again, a political scientist. Together we have dealt with the first segment of Unity Trend, and so he's still in the studio. If you don't mind, my viewer and of course my listener, I'll let Shabuduro to say another big good morning to you.
Thank you for the privilege, Kubi. Thank you for being there, viewer and listener. Thank you for staying tuned. Welcome back to this other segment.
Of course, we have been having all kinds of political activities going on, not only on the plateau, but today we have someone, a guest. I've introduced him earlier on, but of course I need to do that again even on this segment. I have Comrade Abu Malik MJ, a social and political activist, together with us in the studio this morning, and we'll be doing a lot of good for the topic that we have. Before then, I'll let him say another big good morning to you out there.
Good morning, listeners and viewers. Thank you for having me. It has been a nice ride so far on the Unity Trend. You guys are doing a nice job.
Oh, thank you very much. Comrade Abu Malik, of course, he has been the spokesperson to the immediate past member representing Basa Just North Federal Constituency. Of course, I've told you he's a political activist, and so let's begin to, since we have him in the studio this morning, it would be good for us to just roll out, political, struggles on the plateau, and let's see how far so far. I think we begin that way. We begin by how far so far with political issues. Maybe we'll narrow it down to looking at how far so far on the plateau with political issues.
Morning once again, listeners. I can say the political atmosphere on the plateau right now is a little bit tense, given to the issues of judgments so far being delivered for or against the two major political parties, that's the PDP and the APC, and of course my own party, PLP.
Okay.
So there are released feelings among Platoonians, among individuals of Plateau. Others are saying that, let's say, the judges have erred in declaring other seats vacant, more especially the Just East, Just South federal constituency seats being occupied by Dacho Musa Bagos, who has been doing well, but for lack of obedience to court order, which have declared that the PDP lack structure or lack capacity to present candidates for not following a simple court order. So that had generated so much tension, and supporters of the PDP are saying that, okay, this is a plot for us to go Zamfara way. That's why you have been seeing a lot of tension, a lot of press releases, a lot of protests, and what have you.
Okay. The atmosphere, talking about lacking structure, that's talking about PDP lacking structure. How is it an issue to even have one who already somehow is enjoying representation, representing his people, be a problem at this point?
Okay, you know that Nigerian is a democratic state, and we operate based on the principles of law. Do you understand? And the Electoral Act had specified on how a party should produce its candidate. Do you understand? Like in our own case, that was delivered against us by Honorable Justice William Rotimi at the tribunal. That's the case between Honorable Muhammad Adam Al-Ghali ON challenging the victory of Honorable Musa Aga of the PDP. The judgment was given against us, but we are not satisfied with that judgment. I just want to make a point here.
Sure.
You understand? The judge said that in his judgment that, okay, we cannot poke nose. Not any other political party is allowed to poke nose on the affairs on other political parties. But no, that was not the ground for our own petition.
Okay.
The petition here is that, no, we are not poke nosing. Already Bitrus Kaze, sometimes in 2021 or so, had taken the PDP. He's a member of the PDP.
Yes.
He has taken the PDP to the court, because as of then, a caretaker committee is expected to last for only 90 days. And those of the PDP on the plateau have lasted for over 120 days. And as at then, they conducted primaries. Congresses, where they elected escorts.
Okay.
And that is that contravenes the laws and the principles. They are supposed to be for 90 days. And they extended that. And a number of them re-elected themselves. So, not satisfied with that, he go to the court. That's a court of a high court, where he told the judge, or he seek that such structure be nullified, and fresh Congress be held. The PDP refuses that.
Okay.
He went ahead and went to the appeal court, where he met Justice Kunda. And Justice Kunda equally ruled in Bitrus Kaze's favor that yes, the PDP did not follow the right way for it to do its Congress. So that Congress is null and void, and another Congress should be held. Yet, the PDP refuses to obey.
Okay.
Then the local government elections approaches, and PLATEAU denied them entry or participation into that election, simply because they have refused to obey a court order. Hence, they lack the legitimacy to produce any candidate because their house is not well kept. This case was later on taken to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court equally dismissed the case. Yet the PDP refuses to listen, to come and do a simple Congress. So this is the bone of contention. For us, we are not challenging the primaries that brought the PDP candidate. We are saying, look, gentlemen, there is a problem in your house, and that problem, according to the law, is not allowing you to present any candidate for any election as far as Plateau is concerned. He refuses, and the tribunal recently have sacked Bagos, Honorable Bagos and Benira and others, and Platoonians are thinking that maybe this is something that maybe is just a connivance, that okay, we want to get, or the government at the top want to get rid of the PDP, but that's not it. Tell me, among Governor Mutfam and Dr. Nentawe, who is not a Plateau man? They are all Plateau people, and we are all Plateau people. So we should give chance. We should allow the law to take its course. We have heard and seen people saying that they are going to protest if a judgment is being given against them. So that's not fair, and that's not how it should be done. And we should listen and understand what are the grounds of those petitions. Not just hearsay. We all have access to go to the court and listen and follow these petitions. It's a public stuff.
All right. Okay, before Adoro, I'm sure he will be coming in with other questions, but let me just ask you this. Is there any other ground with which, that would have stopped, the PDPs in participating in the recent elections until now?
There were grounds. Since when the local government elections was held, they were denied participation. That's, I think, is in 2021 or so. And we, Honorable Gani Muhammad Adam Adgali, my principal, for instance, of the PRP, has participated in the by-election that resulted after the death of late Honorable Haruna Mitala, the former member representing Basajo's constituency. Yes. We participated in that election, and the PDP equally participated, where they produced Honorable Musa Aga. And we used the same judgment by the appeal and by the High Court and the Appeal Court, declaring that PDP, as far as Plateau is concerned, they are structureless and they don't have the capacity before the law to produce any candidate for elections. So this is not a new thing. But in defiance,
the recent elections, they participated, and so that's the concern. So why would they have been allowed to even participate?
As I told you earlier, the new Electoral Act has made it clear that, okay, not even INEC can poke nose in a political party affair. So you have to allow them, since they are a registered political party and they have been participating in elections. Okay, that's why we have the election petition tribunals. Where those anomalies are observed, they should be resolved there.
Okay. It's all right then.
Well, Abu Malik MJ, or Comrade Abu Malik MJ, you can keep waxing lyrical about all of these things. You have a lot to say, and we don't want to appear to be too emphatic about this issue of PDP structural or not structural and all of that. We want to look at general issues concerning, the polity, in Plateau State and things like that. Now, I'd like to ask you, the 2023 governorship election in Plateau State was laced with lots of religious imputations here and there, and all of that. And I think it might just be a fallout of the, general political culture in Nigeria, that seems, religion-based, and things like that. What would you say about the role of religion? How are we supposed to manage, religion and religious and political sentiments? How are these two supposed to be managed? Because it appears anytime elections approach at whatever level, for whatever reason, involving whatever party, you always have religious sentiments, here and there. What have you to say about how should we manage these sorts of primordial sentiments?
If there is anything that baffles me is the influence or issue of religion when it comes to politics. You have said it all. I am a teacher in a secondary school. I run a school, and what I think is the only solution. If you take out the syllabus, maybe in civic education,
yes.
Which is a compulsory one, you will see a number of chapters dedicated to voter education. A number of our voters, sorry to say, they are not exposed to the knowledge of election and democracy in its entirety. A number of them are waiting for their either imams or their pastors to tell them whom to vote at the expense of their own liberty, their own right. So we need to go back to drawing board. Religion has caused a lot of problems when it comes to politics on the Plateau and Nigeria at large. You can take the post-election violence in 2015 and what have you. So, what I think is that, okay, Plateau people and Nigerians at large, please, I'm begging you, don't Allah, Tori along, whatever, please, try and follow your conscience. Ask questions. Go to school. Seek the knowledge. Seek knowledge from those who knows, not those who only wants you to follow what they make for you. Religion is a good thing, is a culture, but when it comes to leadership, for instance, I'm a Muslim, but according to Islam, it says that leadership is a Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that said, it's a hadith that, okay, God will help a leader if he is just and kind and sympathetic or empathic to his subjects. Neither him being a Muslim or a Christian. So this is a base for us to know that no, it's not just a Muslim that must be a leader, or it's not just a Muslim that must lead. It is not just a Christian that must lead, but someone who has the masses at heart, someone who has conscience, someone who has empathy for the masses or for the subjects, for his subjects as it may be. So this is what I think it should be. But more especially on the Plateau, we have taken this thing too far, and that has cost us lives, countless of lives, and millions of properties, if not billions, in the name of religion in politics. Please, we should try as much as possible to put an end to this barbarity. This is 21st century. Please.
Okay, thank you. Again, talking about judgment, so far, you have judgment where people are beginning to feel that this judge is actually a Muslim and this one is a Christian. Probably he's been influenced by the fact that he is and favoring people whom belong probably to the side of faith. How about this too?
Well, this is funny, and it's just being propagated by enemies of progress on the Plateau. Because the judgment that was delivered in our favor that necessitated my boss to go to the National Assembly and spend the rest of the 7 months of the 9th Assembly was a Christian.
He delivered a judgment in favor of a Muslim and in disfavor of a Christian.
And in disfavor of a Christian. What were they saying then? And this present judgment that was delivered against us was equally delivered by a Christian judge, Honorable Justice William Rotimi. And we did not say that, okay, this guy is a Christian, that's why he delivered this judgment. We said that maybe he did not understood the petition. That's why we are appealing. And thank God other panels of the tribunal have delivered. It's the same lawyer, it's the same law firm that has secured victory against the PDP in just South, just East, and the Honorable Benny Rao's constituency. I've forgotten the constituency name to be precise.
I mean, Langton North and
Langton North and Langton South. It's the same ground that we have provided. Okay, that's why we said, okay, maybe the judge did not understand this. We are going to the appeal. We did not call names. We did not say that, okay, he's a Christian, let heaven fall. No. And the height of it is just between this Governor Mutfwan and Honorable Dr. Nentawe.
Who are both Christians.
Who are both Christians and both Plateau citizens. So what are we saying? Has Dr. Nentawe metamorphosed to become a Muslim? He has never been. And he's not one. And whoever won, he will serve Plateau. And whoever served will serve a Lake Plateau. Where was Jan? Where was Governor Jan? Where was Simon Bakola Alon? Plateau is still here. So please, let's shy away from this. Let's be reasonable. That Chumbagos, for instance, we once had some interactions and as association with him when we are doing some NGO work with him. Since he became a member. So I know him as a gentleman. I know him who someone who has served his people, and that doesn't mean that I should fight him just because we have different political.
And I think that Chumbagos is one of the finest lawmakers Plateau has had. I mean, going by his antecedents and things like that.
Exactly, and the people love him dearly. But you see this structure issue, you see this disobedience of court order, will never do good for any political party, not just the PDP.
Okay, we have just a few minutes to be out of this segment. Now let's talk about